Warm-ups are the tools we use to practice fundamental ensemble skills. In this video, we are going to discuss the importance of warming up and engaging the students, especially percussionists, in the music classroom. We interviewed 3 local directors and asked them the following questions. 1. Why do you warm up? 2. What are the different exercises you use to warm up and engage the students? 3. What is the difference in focus between marching season and concert season? And 4. How do you warm up and engage percussionists in order to challenge them?
The students need to be physically and mentally ready to play. Warm-up is more mental than anything else. The students need to match pitches and rhythms as an ensemble. Everything needs to match vertically and horizontally, rhythmically and harmonically. Miss Clark from Central High School says that younger players especially need to warm up the horn itself as well as muscles for technical passages and scales. Beginners also need to understand the tuning of their instrument, as all instruments have different tuning tendencies. The notes, rhythms, and ranges are easy for the students, and this allows them to focus on the skill we are working on. For example, exact attack, sustain release, and balance within each section. Routine is very important. Using the same exercise to start warm-ups every day helps the student focus. We vary the remaining exercises daily, but use the same opening warm-up to engage the band.
According to Mr. Ashbrook, everyone should start individually on their mouthpieces first. Flutes on their head joint, clarinets on their mouthpiece and barrel, and all brass should buzz into their mouthpieces. Players should then move on to long tones in the low register of the instrument, focusing on air support, tone, and matching pitch within their section and the entire ensemble. A routine of lip slurs for brass, chromatic exercises for woodwinds, scales and interval studies for everyone, as well as articulation exercises, can then be applied to a chorale to synthesize all concepts into a performance art. Ms. Clark advises to keep the warm-up to 15 minutes or less, keeping the focus on 1 or 2 subjects per day. Warm up in the key of the literature they are about to play, so that they can get used to the fingerings and harmonies associated with it. Point out individuals and sections to keep the students on their toes, even if they are doing the passage correctly. Always go back to the basics. Long tones, scales, arpeggios, scale patterns, and rhythms should all help the students. Some books that can be helpful are The Foundations for Band, Rhythm and Rests and Patterns, and Essential Elements 2.
One great way to engage your students in the music classroom is with Rhythm Bee software. Rhythm Bee is a technological program designed to improve students in the areas of rhythm, counting, subdivision, and music notation. I plan to use Rhythm Bee with my beginner students in the future. Every day before each rehearsal, I will have them go through a lesson of Rhythm Bee. The program starts out slow with rests and whole notes, and progresses into 16th notes with syncopation. While your students are going through the Rhythm Bee lesson, you can also reinforce important things like posture and the tapping of their foot.
Another great way to keep the students engaged inside and outside the classroom is YouTube. During my lesson planning of introducing a new piece, I can find a video recording of the piece they are playing and include it in the lesson. I would begin by having the students sight read the piece first, to get a concept of what their part sounds like. Then, I would play a recording of a high-quality band playing the same piece. This way, students can listen to what the piece is supposed to sound like as a whole, with proper intonation, blend, dynamics, rhythm, etc. It is important to keep the video short so that the students stay focused, and engage them by having them follow along in their part, specifically listening for their instrument. Students can then take this same lesson and apply it to their personal practice time at home with their solo and ensemble music. Marching band adds the necessity of body warm-up as well as instrument warm-up. To warm up the body, it is necessary to focus on instrument carriage, body posture and control, as well as correct movement while playing and maintaining a quality sound. Most instrumental warm-ups include long tones, scales, and chorales as mentioned earlier. At the Central High School marching band, everything is by rote. Students are not as focused on counting rhythms, as much as they are the accuracy of rhythms. The focus is on precision in articulation and making sure that notes are played shorter than notated so that the audience can hear the difference. On the field, Mr. Ashbrook wants to sound like a large pipe organ, dark and with a full dominant bass section. Unlike marching band and concert season, he is able to split into 3 different groups: honor band, symphonic band, and freshman band. On the stage, he wants to sound very well blended, also with a dominant bass section. However, it's important to hear the different timbres and colors of instruments specific to the concert season, such as French horn and the double reed instruments. Even though both seasons should have a dark sound, Mr. Ashbrook wants the woodwinds to sound like a piano during the concert season. Eventually, everyone would like the marching band to have more of the qualities of the concert band.
During the marching season, percussion should warm up separately between the pitch percussion and drumline and independent from the wind players. They need to focus on rudiments, technique, and balance within the section. Eventually, their warm-ups will integrate with the rest of the band to help with articulation and rhythm. Mr. Elgin Gregg from Lincoln Middle School says that in marching season, the drumline should arrive early for percussion-specific warm-ups. They also had a set of warm-ups that closely follow the winds. Concert percussion has a series of warm-ups for both keyboards and drums that follow closely with the wind warm-ups. However, as we get close to performances, he has them set up equipment before they warm up, usually resulting in them missing warm-ups completely. During concert season, ideally, he'd like to have 3 different areas for percussionists to warm up in: snares, focusing on a more orchestral sound; timpani, focusing on rolls and matching pitch; and keyboards, focusing on scales. All of these should be separate, and the student should rotate between them. Miss Clark also states that with her percussionists, the majority of the freshmen are on mallets, and then 1 different person on snare each day. She also calls in percussion teachers and professors to give her students master classes. Miss Clark also thinks it is very important to find pieces that the students enjoy.
When percussionists become bored, they can be detrimental to the learning environment. Since their concert music is almost always easy, there are a couple different options that a director has. The first option is to add parts to the music, but it only works if the part fits with the rest of the piece. For example, the students at Central High School were working on a jazz-style piece, and the snare drum part was extremely easy, especially for the student that was playing it. As a result, the student was talking and not paying attention to the director at all. He seemed very knowledgeable about playing styles, so I asked him to add a swing pattern on the ride cymbal in addition to his snare part. After just adding this simple part to another simple part, the students seemed to enjoy the piece a lot more and had less discipline issues. The other option is to have the percussionist go with a supervisor or director to work on percussion ensemble or winter drumline music. At some schools, the percussion is in a separate class altogether, so that they can focus on more relevant subjects, techniques, and literature that will challenge the students. Then they can join the wind players for a few rehearsals before a concert. Hopefully, this will result in a more self-disciplined, engaged, and focused section overall.
In any section, warming up is a crucial point of rehearsal because it allows the students time to transition from the rest of their classes and outside life to focusing on just music. However, students need to be constantly aware of how to improve and always become better. If they are thinking about math class or the chores they have to do at home, then they are probably not improving their technique, tone, balance and blend, rhythm, counting, and articulation. As in all content areas, focus is very important. Without a warm-up to focus, students will not be as engaged in the music classroom.